My name is Natalie, and on my mom's birthday, she said the best gift would be if I left her life. So I vanished. Not dramatically, not with tears or screaming. I just walked out of that house, got in my car, and drove until the city lights became distant pinpricks behind me. She wanted me gone? Fine. I'd give her exactly what she asked for, and she'd learn what absence truly costs. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted most? Let me back up. I grew up believing my mother was a saint. Caroline Hayes, beloved elementary school principal, volunteer coordinator at 3 different charities, the woman who baked cookies for every neighborhood event and remembered everyone's birthdays. She raised me alone after dad died when I was 8. Heart attack, sudden and cruel. I watched her grieve, watched her pull herself together for my sake, watched her build a life for us with nothing but determination and love. Or so I thought. I became everything she said she wanted. Straight A student, full scholarship to state, graduated summa cum laude with a degree in business administration, got a job at Morrison and Associates, one of the top consulting firms in the city, paid off my student loans in 3 years through sheer hustle, bought a small house in a decent neighborhood. I called her every Sunday. I showed up for family dinners. I was the daughter who did everything right. But it was never enough. My younger half-sister Vanessa was the golden child. Different father, same impossible standards. Except Vanessa never had to meet them. She dropped out of college twice, moved back home 3 times, worked part-time at a coffee shop, and spent her money on designer clothes and weekend trips. And Mom? Mom just smiled and said Vanessa was finding herself. When I suggested Vanessa needed more structure, more accountability, Mom looked at me like I'd slapped her. Not everyone is as cold and calculating as you, Natalie. Vanessa has a heart. Cold and calculating. Those words stuck to me like tar. I tried harder. I helped Vanessa get a job at Morrison and Associates, leveraging my reputation to get her into an entry-level position. I co-signed her apartment lease when her credit was garbage. I loaned her $5,000 when she said she was in trouble. Money I never saw again. And through it all, Mom praised Vanessa's free spirit and questioned my obsession with material success. The breaking point came on Mom's 60th birthday. I'd spent weeks planning, reserved the private room at her favorite restaurant, invited 50 guests, all her friends, colleagues, people from her charities. I'd commissioned a photo album chronicling her life, leather-bound and custom-made. I'd arranged for a string quartet because she loved classical music. The whole thing cost me $8,000, but I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted her to see how much I valued her. Vanessa showed up 40 minutes late in a dress that probably cost more than the venue. Deposit, carrying a grocery store bouquet and a card. Mom lit up like Christmas when Vanessa walked in, hugged her for what felt like an eternity, while I stood there holding the album I'd spent hours perfecting. When Mom finally pulled away, she turned to the room and said, "My baby girl is here. Now the party can really start." I smiled through it. I always smiled through it. The speeches started after dinner. Friends and colleagues stood up, sharing memories, expressing gratitude. When it was my turn, I kept it short and sincere. Talked about her strength, her dedication, how she'd shown me what resilience looked like. I presented the album. She flipped through it politely, said, "That's lovely, dear," and set it aside. Vanessa didn't prepare anything. She stood up, slightly drunk, and rambled for 5 minutes about how Mom was, like, literally the best, and how we're basically best friends, you know. The room ate it up. Mom had tears in her eyes. After the party, I helped clean up while Vanessa left early to meet friends at a club. Mom and I were alone in the private room, packing up decorations and leftover cake. I thought maybe, finally, we'd have a moment. A real conversation. An acknowledgement. Instead, she turned to me and said, "You know, Natalie, sometimes I wonder if you do these things for me or for yourself." I froze, half a streamer in my hand. "What?" "All of this." She gestured around the empty room. "It's very impressive." but it doesn't feel personal. It feels like another business transaction, another thing you can check off your list of achievements. The words hit me like ice water. I spent weeks planning this. I wanted you to have something special. Did you? Or did you want people to see what a devoted daughter you are? She wasn't even angry, just tired, disappointed. Vanessa gave me flowers and a card, and it meant more because it came from her heart. You gave me a production. I tried to keep my voice steady. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's the thing, Natalie. You're always sorry, but you never really change. You're so focused on doing everything perfectly that you forget to actually feel anything. She picked up her purse, ready to leave. Sometimes I think the best gift you could give me would be to just let go. Stop trying so hard. Maybe even let me breathe without you hovering, trying to fix everything. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm trying to show I care. She looked at me with something that might have been pity. Then maybe care a little less? Maybe just give me some space. The words hung between us. Space. Such a small word for such a massive rejection. How much space do you want? I asked quietly. She sighed. Honestly, right now I'd just like my life back, without your schedules and your planning and your need to make everything about what a good daughter you are. She paused at the door. I love you, Natalie, but sometimes I wish you'd just disappear for a while. Let me miss you, instead of feeling obligated to you. She left. I stood in that empty room, surrounded by the remnants of a party nobody had really wanted, and something inside me cracked clean through. She wanted space? She wanted me to disappear? I could do that. I drove home that night in complete silence. No radio, no podcasts, just the sound of my thoughts arranging themselves into something cold and precise. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I'd disappear. Completely. Totally. Without explanation or warning. I'd remove myself so thoroughly from her life that she'd finally understand what absence actually meant. And when she realized what she'd lost, when she came looking for me, I wouldn't be there. The next morning, I started making calls. First, Morrison and Associates. I had 3 weeks of vacation saved up, plus another 2 weeks of personal time I'd never used. I told my boss I needed an immediate leave of absence for family reasons. He approved it without question. I'd earned that trust through 6 years of flawless performance. Second, my phone provider. I changed my number. Didn't tell anyone. Just gone. Third, my landlord. I explained I'd be away for a while, paid 3 months' rent in advance, and asked him not to give my information to anyone who called. He agreed, confused but willing. I systematically removed myself from every point of contact, deactivated my social media, set my email to auto-delete messages from family addresses, blocked Mom's number on my old phone, which I left in a drawer at home. Then I got in my car and drove. I ended up in Millbrook, a small town 4 hours north that I'd visited once for a work conference. Population 8,000. The kind of place where nobody knew me and nobody cared. I rented a furnished studio apartment above a bookstore, paid 6 months up front in cash, and became invisible. For the first week, I did nothing. I sat in that tiny apartment and felt the absence of obligation like a physical weight lifting off my shoulders. No Sunday calls, no family dinners, no performance of the perfect daughter, just silence and space and the freedom to exist without judgment. It felt incredible. By the second week, I started hearing things through the grapevine. A former colleague mentioned that my mom had called the office looking for me. HR told her I was on leave but couldn't share more. Vanessa apparently showed up at my house pounding on the door. My landlord, bless him, told her I was traveling and he didn't know when I'd be back. I imagined Mom's face when she realized I'd actually done it, actually disappeared. I imagined her calling my phone and getting the disconnected number message. I imagined her scrolling through silent social media accounts, finding nothing. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. I got a job at the bookstore downstairs. The owner, Margaret, was a woman in her 70s who asked exactly 0 questions about my past. I shelved books, helped customers, and closed up most nights. The work was simple and honest. Nobody expected me to be impressive. Nobody compared me to anyone. I was just Natalie, the girl who worked at the bookstore. For the first time in my life, I started painting. I'd loved art as a kid, but Mom had always pushed me toward practical pursuits. Now I bought cheap acrylics and canvas boards and spent my evenings creating terrible, wonderful landscapes. They were awful. I didn't care. They were mine. I made friends, real ones, people who knew nothing about my credentials or my achievements or my impossible family. Just people who liked talking about books and art and the weather. Simple, easy, uncomplicated. 8 weeks in, I got a letter. Margaret handed it to me one morning with a knowing look. Came to the store addressed to you. Someone did their homework. It was from Vanessa. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. The handwriting was messy, emotional. Natalie, Mom is losing her mind. She won't admit it, but she's scared. She calls your old number every day. She drives past your house. She keeps asking if I've heard from you, and I haven't. And honestly, it's kind of scary. I don't know what happened between you two, but this is crazy. Just call her, please. V. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Didn't respond. 2 weeks later, another letter. This time from Mom. Natalie, I don't know where you are, or if you'll even read this. I'm sorry. I said terrible things, and I've regretted them every day since you left. I was tired and frustrated, and I took it out on you. You didn't deserve that. Please come home, or at least let me know you're safe. I love you. Mom, I read it 3 times, looking for manipulation, looking for guilt trips, looking for anything except what was actually there, genuine remorse. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed her to understand what she'd thrown away. I needed her to sit with the absence she'd requested and really feel it. So I waited. Month 4, I got a call at the bookstore. Margaret handed me the phone with a raised eyebrow. Says she's your mother. I almost told Margaret to hang up, but something made me take the phone. Hello? Natalie. Her voice cracked. Oh God, Natalie, is that really you? It's me. Where are you? Are you safe? Please just tell me you're safe. I'm safe. Silence. Then, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What I said to you at my birthday, it was cruel and unfair, and I've hated myself every day since. Please, come home. You told me you wanted space, I said calmly. You said you wanted your life back. I'm giving you what you asked for. I didn't mean it. I was horrible. I was wrong. You were honest. I kept my voice even, detached. You told me how you really felt, that I was suffocating you, that you wished I'd disappear. So I did. Natalie, I have to go, Mom. Customers waiting. Wait, please. I hung up. Margaret was watching me carefully. You okay? Yeah, I said, and I was. That night, I called a lawyer in the city, old college friend who specialized in family law. I explained the situation, left out the emotional parts, focused on the facts. Years of financial support to my sister, loans never repaid, co-signed leases, documented favoritism. Do you want to pursue this legally? She asked. Not yet, but I want everything documented. Every cent I've spent, every promise broken. I want a paper trail. Smart. I'll pull together a file. By month 5, I was thriving. I'd started taking art classes at the community center. Sold my first painting at a local gallery, $40 for a sunset over the mountains. It felt better than any work bonus I'd ever received. I'd also started seeing someone, Daniel, a teacher at the elementary school. Kind, quiet, completely unimpressed by corporate success. He knew I was taking time away from my previous life, but didn't push for details. We went on slow, easy dates, walks by the river, coffee at the diner, real conversations about real things. He made me laugh. I'd forgotten what that felt like. Then, month 6, everything changed. Margaret handed me my phone one evening as I was closing up. "You've got about 15 missed calls. Might want to check that." They were all from Vanessa. And one voicemail, timestamped 20 minutes ago. Her voice was panicked, breathless. "Natalie, I don't care if you hate us, but you need to call me right now. Mom's in the hospital. She collapsed at work. They're saying it's her heart. Please, I can't do this alone. Please call me." My hands were shaking as I called her back. "Natalie?" Vanessa sounded exhausted. "What hospital?" "St. Mary's, ICU. They're running tests, but it doesn't look good. Can you come, please?" I looked around the bookstore. My safe, simple life. My escape. "I'll be there in 4 hours." I drove through the night, my mind racing. This wasn't part of the plan. She was supposed to miss me, to realize what she'd lost, to apologize and mean it. She wasn't supposed to be dying. The hospital was cold and fluorescent. Vanessa met me in the waiting room, looking like she hadn't slept in days. When she saw me, she burst into tears and hugged me hard. I stood there, stiff and uncertain, while she sobbed into my shoulder. "They won't tell me anything because I'm not the primary contact," she said. "But you are. They'll talk to you." Of course I was. I'd always been the one handling emergencies, making decisions, being responsible. The doctor was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a gentle voice. She explained that Mom had suffered a severe cardiac event, stress-induced, compounded by high blood pressure she'd apparently been ignoring. She was stable now, but it had been close. "Can I see her?" I asked. "She's awake, room 412. I walked down that hallway alone, each step feeling heavier than the last. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave, let her experience the absence she'd wanted. But I couldn't. Whatever she'd done, whatever she'd said, she was still my mother. She looked small in that hospital bed, pale, fragile, nothing like the strong, commanding woman who'd raised me. Her eyes opened when I entered, and I watched recognition and relief and guilt flash across her face in quick succession. "Natalie?" "Hi, Mom." "You came." Vanessa called. She closed her eyes. "I thought I'd lost you forever." I pulled up a chair and sat down, keeping my distance. "You told me to disappear. I did. Why are you surprised?" "I was angry. I was wrong. I've spent 6 months realizing how wrong I was." "About what, specifically?" I kept my tone neutral, clinical. "About the party? About me being cold and calculating? About wanting your life back?" She flinched. "All of it. I was jealous, Natalie." That stopped me. "What?" "You're so much stronger than I ever was. So accomplished, so together. You built this incredible life without any help, and I was proud but also threatened. Like, you didn't need me anymore, like I'd become obsolete in your life." I stared at her. "That's why you pushed me away?" "I pushed you away because I was scared of how much I needed you." Tears were running down her face now. "And because it was easier to celebrate Vanessa's small victories than to acknowledge your big ones. Vanessa needs me. You never seemed to need anyone." "I needed you," I said quietly. "I needed my mother to see me. Not my achievements, not my success. Just me. I needed you to love me the way you loved Vanessa, without conditions, without comparison. I did, I do, but I showed it terribly." She reached for my hand. I let her take it, but I didn't squeeze back. "When you disappeared, I understood. I understood what it felt like to have someone just gone, to call and get nothing, to look for you and find emptiness. I did that to you every day, didn't I? Made you feel invisible while I focused on Vanessa." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so, so sorry. And if you never forgive me, I understand. But please don't disappear again. I can't survive losing you twice." I sat there for a long time, holding her hand, feeling the weight of 6 months of absence and a lifetime of trying too hard to be seen. I'm not disappearing, I finally said. But things are going to be different now. Different how? I'm not coming back to be the perfect daughter you can ignore. I'm not going to keep trying to prove I'm worthy of your love. And I'm not going to watch you excuse Vanessa's behavior while criticizing mine. I looked her in the eye. I'm going to live my life, Mom, and you can be part of it if you want, but on my terms. She nodded, tears still falling. Whatever you need. I need honesty. I need equal treatment. I need you to stop comparing us. And I need you to acknowledge that I'm not cold or calculating. I'm just someone who learned to protect herself. You're right. About all of it. And I need you to make Vanessa responsible for her own life. No more bailouts, no more excuses. She's 28 years old. Mom hesitated, then nodded. Okay. I mean it, Mom. If you want me in your life, Vanessa has to grow up. No more golden child favoritism. We're both your daughters, or neither of us is. I understand. I stayed with her until she fell asleep, then went to find Vanessa in the waiting room. She looked up hopefully when I approached. Is she okay? She's sleeping. Doctor says she'll recover. Vanessa exhaled in relief. Thank God, I was so scared. We need to talk, I said. We went to the hospital cafeteria, got terrible coffee, sat across from each other like strangers. In a way, we were. I'm not coming back to the way things were, I started. I'm not going to be the sister you call when you need money or help or someone to blame for your problems. Natalie, I never. Yes, you did. You've used me for years. The job I got you at Morrison? You got fired after 3 months for being late constantly. I had to apologize to my boss for recommending you. The apartment I co-signed? You skipped out early and destroyed your credit and mine. The $5,000 I loaned you? You spent it on a trip to Cancun. She had the grace to look ashamed. I'm done enabling you, I continued. And I told Mom the same thing. You're an adult. You make your own choices and live with the consequences. I'm not your safety net anymore. I know I've messed up, she said quietly. I know I've taken advantage, but I never realized how bad it was until you left, and I had to actually handle things myself. It was hard. It's supposed to be hard. That's called life. I'm trying to do better. I got a job at the library. It's not much, but it's steady. And I'm taking online classes to finish my degree. She looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time. I'm sorry, Natalie, for all of it. For using you. For letting Mom make you the villain while I got to be the victim. It wasn't fair. I studied her face looking for manipulation, finding only exhaustion and genuine remorse. Prove it, I said. Don't tell me you're changing. Show me. I will, I promise. We sat in silence for a moment, and then I said something I'd been holding back for years. Do you know what the worst part was? Not the money or the favors. It was watching Mom love you for being a mess while she criticized me for being strong. It was knowing that if I stumbled even once, I'd lose her respect forever. But you could fail 100 times and she'd just call it finding yourself. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know it hurt you that much. Because you never asked. Neither of you did. I'm asking now. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen before. Not a rival or a burden, just a scared, lost person who'd been coasting on our mother's guilt and my enabling. A person who maybe, possibly, could become someone better. Then I'll tell you, I said. But not now. Now I need to figure out what my life looks like going forward. Are you coming back to the city? I don't know. I have a life in Millbrook. A good one. Millbrook? I smiled slightly. Small town 4 hours north. I work at a bookstore. I paint. I'm seeing someone. It's simple and honest, and nobody expects me to be anything but myself. Vanessa looked like I'd told her I'd moved to Mars. You work at a bookstore? Best job I've ever had. But your career, Morrison and Associates, everything you built, is still there if I want it, but maybe I don't. Maybe I'm tired of building things just to prove I'm worthy of love. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, can I visit sometime, Millbrook? I considered it. Maybe, if you're serious about changing. I am. Then we'll see. I stayed in the city for 2 weeks while Mom recovered. Stayed at a hotel, not my old house. Visited her every day but on my schedule. We talked about real things, not surface pleasantries or performance gratitude, but actual feelings, pain and resentment and missed opportunities. It was uncomfortable. It was necessary. One evening, as I was preparing to leave her hospital room, she said, I read some of your letters, the ones Vanessa tried to send you that got returned. And, you're a beautiful writer, Natalie. I never knew. You never showed me that side of yourself. You never asked to see it. She nodded slowly. I want to see it now, if you'll let me. I thought about the paintings in my Millbrook apartment, the journals I'd started keeping, the parts of myself I'd discovered in the absence of her expectations. I'll think about it, I said. Before I left the city, I met with my lawyer friend. She compiled everything, a detailed account of money lent, leases co-signed, opportunities given. It was damning and comprehensive. What do you want to do with this? She asked. I looked at the file, at the evidence of years of being used and dismissed. I could pursue legal action. I could demand repayment. I could punish them both in ways that were completely justified. But revenge, I'd learned, wasn't about punishment. It was about taking back your power. And I'd already done that by disappearing, by building a new life, by refusing to return to the old patterns. Keep it, I said, as insurance. But I don't think I'll need it. You sure? They've learned their lesson. And so have I. I drove back to Millbrook as the sun set, watching the city shrink in my rearview mirror. My phone rang. Mom's new number, which I'd finally added to my contacts. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. I just wanted to say goodnight and to tell you I love you. No qualifiers, no comparisons, just simple, honest affection. I love you too, I said and meant it. Life in Millbrook continued. I went back to the bookstore, to my painting classes, to Daniel and our slow, easy relationship. But I also started going back to the city once a month. Sunday dinners, but different. This time, Mom asked about my art, listened when I talked about books I'd read and people I'd met, treated me like a person, not a trophy or a disappointment. Vanessa came to visit after 3 months. I picked her up at the bus station, and we spent the weekend walking through town, talking about real things. She showed me pictures of her library job, her completed coursework, small victories, but earned ones. I get it now, she said as we sat by the river, watching the water flow past. Why you left, why you needed to disappear. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. She looked at me seriously. I'm paying you back, the $5,000. I set up a payment plan. It'll take 2 years, but I'm doing it. I was shocked. Vanessa, you don't have to. I do. You were right. I need to be responsible for my own choices, starting with this. I hugged her then, really hugged her, and felt something shift between us. Not perfect, not healed, but honest. 6 months after I returned from the hospital, I got a call from Morrison and Associates, my boss, asking if I wanted to come back. They'd held my position, respected my leave, and now they wanted to know my plans. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. I appreciate the offer, I said, but I'm happy where I am. You're staying at the bookstore? I'm staying with myself. I hung up and looked around my small apartment, at the paintings on the walls, at the books stacked on every surface, at the life I'd built from nothing but absence and courage. Daniel came over that evening. We cooked dinner together, talked about our days, laughed about nothing important. Afterward, we sat on my small balcony, watching the stars come out. "You seem different," he said. "Lighter." "I feel different." "Good different?" "The best different." He kissed me then, soft and unhurried, and I felt something I'd never felt before, completely, utterly accepted for exactly who I was. A year after I disappeared, I hosted Thanksgiving in Millbrook. Mom came, Vanessa came, Daniel was there, Margaret from the bookstore joined us, a few friends from town. It was chaotic and imperfect, and nobody cared if the turkey was perfectly golden or the table settings matched. Mom pulled me aside while I was doing dishes. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not for what you've accomplished or what you've built, just for who you are." I turned to face her, soapy hands and all. "It only took me disappearing for you to see me." "I know, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. But I see you now, Natalie, and I'm so grateful you gave me another chance." "We gave each other another chance," I corrected. She hugged me tight, and I let myself sink into it. Not the performance of forgiveness, but the real thing. Messy and complicated and earned through pain and absence and honesty. Later that night, after everyone had left and Daniel had gone home, I stood on my balcony looking at the stars. My phone buzzed, a text from Vanessa. "Thank you for today, for everything." "I love you, sis." I smiled and typed back, "Love you too." Another text, this one from Mom. "You've built something beautiful. Not just this life, but the courage to claim it. I'm learning from you, Natalie. Thank you for teaching me." I put my phone down and breathed in the cold night air. Thought about the girl I'd been a year ago, standing in that empty party room, hearing her mother wish she'd disappear. Thought about the woman I'd become, who'd taken that rejection and transformed it into freedom. The best revenge isn't cruelty or punishment. It's becoming so completely, authentically yourself that the people who hurt you have to confront what they lost. It's building a life so full and rich that their absence becomes their punishment, and your presence becomes the gift they have to earn. I didn't destroy my mother or my sister. I just refused to be destroyed by them. I set boundaries. I demanded respect. I disappeared until they understood what my presence was worth, and when I came back on my own terms. That's the thing about revenge. It's not about making them suffer. It's about making yourself free. I picked up my phone one more time and opened my notes app. Started writing, the words flowing like water. My name is Natalie, and I learned that sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away. Not to punish, but to protect yourself. Not to hurt them, but to heal you. And when you come back, if you come back whole. That's not revenge. That's resurrection. I saved the note and looked out at the stars, at the small town that had given me back to myself, at the life I'd built from absence and courage. I'd given my mother what she asked for. I'd disappeared. And in the empty space I left behind, we'd all learned to see each other clearly for the first time. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone is exactly what they ask for, even if they don't really mean it. Because in learning to live without you, they learn what having you truly means.